So good evening, and thank you for allowing me to present this second State of the District address. And as I was preparing for tonight's comments and some of the things that we would talk about as we look back and look forward, I just want to take a moment and think back a year ago. And I'd like you all to just pause for a moment and think back a year ago when I delivered the State of the District address, where we were. And just for a second, and I'm going to leave a pause here while you think through all of the things that we have done and all of the things that we have undertaken in this past year and how much we've accomplished in such a short time. Tremendous amount of effort on the part of our teaching staff, on the part of our administration, on the part of the cabinet, who've worked tirelessly over the last year to bring so much of this to fruition, and the Board of Education. And I want to start by saying thank you to you for all that work that you've done. As was pointed out to me at the end of last week at one of our cabinet meetings, far too often we don't take the time we should to celebrate our accomplishments and how much we have accomplished and the work we've done. And really I want to take this moment and lead with thanking the Board of Education and recognizing what it is that we accomplished in our strategic planning. So in this past year, what we really did was 2 concurrent planning streams. It's not that we just completed one strategic plan, we actually completed 2 strategic plans. The first was a traditional strategic plan for so many of the great initiatives that we already had in place. And this was really the culmination of my listening and learning tour from throughout the district. We recognized we had all these great programs that we wanted to continue to build and we wanted to continue to expand on. So when you think about all the great things that have been happening in this district and are going to continue to happen moving forward, that would be a traditional strategic plan like we've become accustomed to. But at the same time, we had this entirely other strategic plan. And this was all about fashioning new programs and recognizing all these great ideas that were out in the community. And we went out, and that was also part of the listening and learning tour. And we threw those ideas back out to the community. We threw those ideas back out to the teaching staff, and we sought input from that and crafted a strategic plan that has some bold new initiatives. And we've already made progress on some of those initiatives as well. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit this evening as well. Here are some of the things that I'm going to talk about as part of the State of the District tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've done in talent, the area that we're calling talent, human resources. I'm going to talk a little bit about data and dashboards and metrics, the learning pathways. This was a key area for us in Iowa Big. Blended learning. We talked about the Restructure plan at great length and are continuing to discuss that. The ongoing bond campaign, the need for a bond campaign and improvements to the school district. And lastly, the board book and communication strategies that we put forward with that. So let's start with talent management. One of the key areas of our strategic plan and an area of great focus for us is recognizing when we put out the first thought exchange survey, the single greatest strength that we recognized from our community, both our parents and our teachers, said that the greatest strength that we have in our district is our great teaching staff and the talent that we have. And that's where we started to think, let's not think necessarily always about just human resources, because a resource is something that can be depleted. But let's think about it as talent and talent management. And what do we do with our talent? And so we're focused on being deliberately developmental. And so for us, that means some new initiatives and ongoing initiatives that we've had in the past. So recruiting, retraining, supporting our current staff, and in the areas of substitutes, for instance. We've done some work with our leadership team and bringing our leadership team together to come up with some ideas that we can continue to bolster our substitute ranks and make sure that we have good qualified subs who feel supported in the classroom, that can support our teachers. Working with that assistance and some ideas with that assistance to make sure we have a robust staff there as well. A job fair, an upcoming job fair. Here's something that I get excited that I get to share with you, that we're doing a job share. It's planned for February 18th. And you'll know that we've done a job share in the past, but that was very limited in scope and very specific. This job fair is going to encompass the teaching staff, so we're excited about that. Conducting a job analysis of current positions and started that right away as soon as we approved the strategic plan, and excited what that's going to reveal for us as well as we continue to calibrate as we grow as a district. And then lastly, this notion about leadership development. And part of the leadership development throughout the course of this year is through the crucial conversation strand that is ongoing throughout the rest of the year. Within student pathways, we have this notion of career development. And when we originally embarked on this conversation, we talked about pathways in a writ large sort of scheme, and we came to realize that there's really two different conversations that are taking place. One is about career development and what it means to have a local career development and local talent, and this coincides with some of the work that Medco is doing and some of the playbook language that Medco has, and the need for us to develop a talent pipeline so that kids are aware of what careers exist for them and have the opportunity to embark on those careers in a successful way. And at the same time, we explored then this notion of apex or big or some variation on that theme, and came to realize that so much of it exists in Iowa Big that we realized that a partnership with Iowa Big was the next logical step for us as a district, and then began to explore what that might look like. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, but it's one thing to hear me talk about student pathways. I think it's something entirely different to see it. So don't, tell me, show me. I want to show you some pictures of what this looks like when kids are actually doing what it is that we want them to do, which is to experience a career, to have that opportunity to be exposed to it, to experience it in these great classroom environments that we've created, with the phenomenal talent that we have in the classroom. Here you see an example of maker spaces and kids working. And perhaps my favorite picture, as I was looking through various pictures that I could show you this evening, that really embodies what it is that we have, or that we're looking for, the vision, if you will, of the classroom. And the reason I like this picture so much, the reason that this picture just screamed at me and said, this is it, this is what it should look like, is I want you to take a moment and look at that picture and tell me who's the teacher and who's the student in that photo. And I think that just hits the nail on the head. That's the education. And so within the Iowa Big model, we have some wonderful progress that we've made with that partnership. We just recently announced that partnership, as you all know. It's an exciting time for us as we create what will be the Linn-Mar extension. We're tentatively calling it the Innovation Center, where we're going to put the Linn-Mar campus here in the Iowa Big Center. We're very excited. Just tonight, you're going to approve one of our own teaching staff into the Iowa Big program. She's already down and incorporating herself with the staff down at the Cedar Rapids campus to be fully embedded with them and bring that program back to us in our district. We're in the process of signing up students. Actually, even tonight, we're in the process of starting to sign up students. So we'll have a report for you very soon on the number of kids signed up for the program, and very excited about the future of that program as we continue to develop strands for our kids and projects for our kids, and the opportunity to partner with our businesses. I want to talk just briefly about blended learning. We originally, when we put the strategic plan together, we said let's take about 3 years to start putting some of this in place, and we'll kind of build slowly into it. And as we started to look at the strategic initiatives within the plan, we said, well, let's ratchet that forward just a little bit. And I applaud everyone who's kind of put forward some extra effort to make that happen, especially on the cabinet, administration, and teaching staff to pull this together. But we have some initiatives going to take place as early as next year. So PowerSchool Pro and the learning management system is really big for us as a district. I think this is an important fundamental step for us in our success with blended learning. You're going to hear more about that in the next couple of months. We're going to dedicate work session or regular session board meetings so you can hear exactly what that's going to do for us as a school district. The grant AEA grant of $8,000 helps support some of the professional learning that's taking place as our teachers have visited other sister schools and learned what great blended learning opportunities exist for kids and what opportunities we can take and build on for ourselves. We finally have a blended learning definition that we all sort of agree on throughout the district, and that came about as some of the work through this committee and through this team. And at the high school, I'm very excited to announce 3 or 4 teachers are going to be pursuing one blended learning course next year, as a matter of fact. And so this is an exciting opportunity for our students as we continue to grow in this direction. And of course, at the middle school and the elementary schools, they're exploring those opportunities as well. With the restructure plan, we spent a tremendous amount of effort, both administratively with the teaching staff and with the Board of Education, talking about various restructure plans that we could look at, either staying with the traditional model as we're currently structured, or moving forward with a restructure plan that would be financially feasible, but also in the best interest of kids. And put forward this restructure plan and got a tremendous amount of feedback from our community and elected to move forward with that. The Board of Education agreed to that, and so then it became our task to onboard our community. We can't assume that over the last almost 18 months of conversation that we've had that everybody has been privy to those conversations or even following along with those conversations. And it was at a coffee conversation that the Board of Education was having at Bowman Woods where we heard the importance of thinking of this whole conversation as an interstate, and what we really need to do is create an on-ramp for the rest of the community. And so we've taken that mindset and taken a half step back since the board approved the notion of moving forward with this restructure plan, and are now starting to onboard our community, and we're going to use various communication strategies to do that, one of which I'll talk about in just a moment. Also within the restructure plan, we've talked about the importance of question and answers, and recognizing the importance of getting everyone to have some piece of this puzzle and make sure that everyone feels like they're being heard, and that the questions that folks have, whether or not they're parents or business partners or teachers, that those questions are heard and that they're actually addressed. And so we're taking that seriously and trying to put forward FAQ documents, question and answer documents, and collecting that information so that we can continue the dialogue with this. And then obviously the need for professional development for our staff. And we've been talking about that for the last several months as well, that we know there are questions that need to be answered and we need to take that seriously. And in order to improve our capacity as a district to successfully deploy this restructure plan, then we're going to have to commit the adequate resources to do that, both in terms of time and how we use our resources. Which leads me to the bond campaign. Just last week, we held our first meeting of the Facilities Committee, had approximately 60 people in attendance for that. We talked about the restructure plan and some of the next steps, and looking at the historic buildings and some of the work that we're going to do on those, and potentially renovations, upcoming renovations, and a new site, a new facility as well. And at that kickoff meeting, one of the things I talked about was engagement, and that is not the word for it. Engagement doesn't work. If there was one thing that I picked up on, and we briefly talked about this at a board meeting several months ago, if there's one thing that I came to realize as part of the listening and learning tour last year, it's that people are not engaged in the Linn-Mar education. They're not engaged. They don't send their kids to the classroom and they're engaged with the teacher. That doesn't cover it. That doesn't seem comprehensive enough. And we certainly don't want buy-in. When we go out into the community and we start talking about the need for a bond campaign, I don't want to have to get somebody to buy into the plan. I don't think that gets it done. I don't think that accomplishes what it is that we're trying to do, and I also don't believe that that speaks to the core values of Linn-Mar. I think what we're talking about is ownership. That's the word. It's not about engagement. It's not about buy-in. It's about ownership. We are joint owners in the education that we provide our kids, all of us. Our taxpayers are owners of these facilities and the education that we provide our students. And I think that the future bond campaign is all about ownership. So I'm sure you're wondering, why are these pictures of dogs up here? Well, as I was thinking about how do you remember something like this, like engagement is what happens when you bring the puppy home and you say, oh great, now we have this puppy, you have to play with it and you have to walk it. And kids are engaged with raising a puppy when it's convenient for them. But as anybody who's ever owned a pet knows, engagement is not the same thing as ownership. And I think ownership is key. It's a responsibility. It's a lifelong commitment to what it is that we're trying to do and what we're trying to become. And so as I begin to pivot and wrap up this evening, I'm going to talk about the importance of staying connected. And connection is so key, and that's at the heart of this notion of ownership. It's not one person's plan that comes forward. It's not a plan of 7 board members alone. But this really from the onset has been about getting everybody's voice heard, everybody's voice recognized and realized, and the opportunity for ongoing dialogue and feedback. And so I encourage everyone, whether Board of Education, administration, audience members, or anybody else watching this address, is to stay connected. And just a couple of ways that you can do that. Number one, the board book. We've made significant efforts in what used to be called the administration report, now we call it the board book, to put forward our strategic plan and all of the strategic initiatives. And every meeting, the administration, the cabinet, is committed to updating that board book. So everything that we're doing over the course of 2 weeks, months, and ongoing, we're updating not just the Board of Education, but really the community in the board book as we make progress to our strategic initiatives. So I'll encourage you to continue to watch the board book. I know they're comprehensive. There's often a lot of information in those board books, but it's well worth your time to continue reading those and stay abreast of what's happening in the district. And the other way that you can stay on top of what is happening at the district is through our website. One of the first things that I heard, I mean truly, one of the first things I heard after about a week or a week and a half in the district was, please do something about our website. And I know the website had been looked at before and had been something that was discussed as a district, and we immediately made the decision to move forward with that. And so as of tomorrow morning at approximately 6 a.m., we are going to, 6:30, we'll say 6:30, just give it a little bit of lead time. We are going to debut the new website, and I am so excited about this, I can hardly contain myself. As of this afternoon, we have over 400 teachers who have set up individual web pages ready to debut tomorrow. And I want to take a moment to especially thank our teaching staff for the effort that they've put forward to have those websites ready to go. I have mine ready to go as well, and I'm excited to debut the blog that I'll be trying to update on a regular basis, Q's News, and that's where we're going to put information from around the district or things that are germane to the bond campaign or the Restructure program. And so we're all committed to updating this on a regular basis. I want to show you just some preview pages. They're not super clear, but I want to show you some preview pages that you're going to see live tomorrow morning, all the way from the home page where you land that has updated, fresh content, to some of the school pages or staff pages where you might see news or news features and blog posts in the school highlight pages, where we hope that you'll have a much better interaction with the school itself, user-friendly, much more intuitive. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one more time the new updated board website web pages as well, with all of the policy updates. And we've already debuted that to some degree, and so you've seen that and gotten comfortable with that as well. And that incorporates directly into the website. So that brings up tomorrow morning. I hope you all carve out several hours so that you can spend with the website, because I'm sure that's where you'll spend a great majority of your day tomorrow. I'm actually very, very excited about this, and I'd like to thank everyone who's had a hand in pulling this together. Super excited about that. And so again, we wrap up kind of where we started the year off and thinking about all of these connections, because it is a year from now when I'm giving the State of the District address, and we look back a year from now on all of the great things that we will have accomplished in this next year. I have no doubt that one of the key features of our accomplishments will be because of this, the Linn-Mar connections, the connections that we have with each other, the connections that we're going to continue to develop, and how we're going to grow as a district. I'm, as always, humbled and honored to be the superintendent of the district, and I thank you.